Mitsumi is a 15-year-old girl who is starting her school in Tokyo after spending her formative years in a small town in which her entire class consisted of just 8 people. She has been best friends with the same person since kindergarten, and we learn that she intends to use her education to succeed. Mitsumi has her life planned out to the point where she would like her ashes scattered, starting with graduating as valedictorian and moving on to a profession at the Ministry of Internal Affairs to address the critical issues of rural depopulation. She thinks she can navigate the subway system by herself, but she gets stranded on her way to the opening ceremony at school because she was confused about the directions. Thereafter, Shima, her future classmate, who was running late due to his lack of motivation, agrees to help her in making it to school. He's motivated to sprint the remaining distance to school after seeing Mitsumi drop her footwear in order to make it in time for her speech because she is the top student in the class. They'd arrived at school before Mitsumi's name is called to deliver her speech. When she finally reaches the stage to deliver her speech, she forgets to take it out of her bag. Shima in particular is stunned to see that she has memorized every word of her lengthy speech and delivered it without missing a beat. Mitsumi attempts to go to the washroom after finishing her speech, but her teacher blocks her path. She then throws up on her teacher, which naturally makes her feel embarrassed. Mitsumi's first day of school does not go as planned, which upsets her. She heads to class and tries to talk to a girl who brushes her aside because Mitsumi threw up earlier. Shima, on the other hand, saves the day by inquiring if she's alright and asks for her contact and asks her to be his friend. The girl who had previously ignored her then follows suit. Mitsumi goes on to say that her first day of school went according to plan while on a call with her best friend Fumi-chan, and she proceeds by claiming that she made 2 friends, going on to discuss the incident at the subway but quickly covering up. Mitsumi's aunt Nao-chan brings her some delicious food from a posh deli when she gets home from work to celebrate her first day of school. Meanwhile, Fumi informs Mitsumi's family about Mitsumi's first day. Shima and his friends are eating at a restaurant. However, he rushes home in order to get to school on time the next day. Interestingly, he blushes as he thinks about Mitsumi while he's on the subway. Mitsumi tries to sleep early so that her day goes as planned, but she's concerned about her upcoming self-introduction and begins preparing for it. At school, everyone introduces themselves to the class. In a flashback, we see Nao-chan dropping Mitsumi off at school by the metro while having a conversation about the self-introduction scheduled to take place at her school. Mitsumi appears to be confident, and she tells her aunt that she will keep things light. After that, we learn that Nao-chan is transgender because someone on the train mocks her, but Mitsumi makes her feel at ease. When it is Mitsumi's turn to introduce herself, she does so confidently and talks about her ambitions to become a government official so she can make significant changes in society. When it's Shima's turn to speak, he comes across as more laid back than Mitsumi, and he keeps his introduction short and funny. Shima reminds Mitsumi of her dog. She then volunteers to be a class officer and is chosen, while Shima becomes a class officer as well. Her classmate suggests that their class go to karaoke later that day, and everyone agrees, including Mitsumi, Shima, and Yuzuki. Shima expresses his attraction for Mitsumi openly quite often, and a classmate tells her that she shouldn't believe everything Shima says because he's nice to everyone. As a result, Mitsumi becomes more skeptical of him and his intentions. Mitsumi learns from Yuzuki that her classmate lied to her about Shima, so that the classmate could get close to him, and he keeps making fun of Mitsumi's accent, which Yuzuki points out to her. She is upset by her classmate's actions, but a phone call from her best friend Fumi cheers her up. She returns to karaoke and concludes that it is pointless to overthink things. She confidently sings a nostalgic song instead, to which everyone cheers for her. Yuzuki asks her to add her as a friend on social media after the karaoke, and after that, Mitsumi and Shima walk home and have a good time together. Mitsumi's classmates are joining various clubs the following day, so she tries to decide as well. Shima joins her as she goes to see a drama performance in an effort to see if she wants to join that club. Mitsumi notices Shima appears to be sad at times. Shima, who comes from a famous background, does not wish to reveal his true identity because he wants to live a normal life, but it upsets him when a playwright recognizes him and treats him differently. Shima tells him that he does not want to be known as a famous person, and later that day, Mitsumi decides to join the student council after a lot of thought, and she tells her aunt all about it. After giving it some thought, Mitsumi goes to the student council meeting in the hopes of being accepted there, but she runs into Suzuki and Yuzuki, so she eventually makes her way in the room's direction. A student is seen on the premises. Makoto appears startled and nervous once she recognizes the trio, and she is familiar with rumors stating that Mitsumi is the school's hidden boss. Once Yuzuki walks away, they head towards the student council's room to see if there is a position available, and they learn that the student government isn't actively looking for new members. The girl in charge of finances, Takamine, as well as President Yamamoto of the student council, then present themselves to the group. After that, they say that Yuzuki and Mitsumi could join them as members of a support crew to help them plan various events. Takamine tells Mitsumi that although the duties can occasionally be stressful, they aren't so bad that they'll harm her academic performance, and Mitsumi is worried about managing her time. Mitsumi approaches Makoto and tells her she wishes to go to the Starmax coffee house and wants Makoto to go with her and Shima. Despite the fact that she is anxious at first, Makoto quickly feels at ease with her new friends. After Mitsumi arrives at school, the next day Makoto is there to greet her and she asks if she would like to accompany her to a movie. Makoto was not expecting other kids in the classroom to overhear their discussion, but they arrive all the same. Before heading to the theater, Mitsumi and her companions stop by a eatery. When it comes to the theater's popcorn, nearly everybody disagrees with Yuzuki, who prefers the salted kinds. Makoto, on the other hand, shares the same preference. Yuzuki attempts to high-five her, but she leaves her hanging. Yuzuki informs Makoto shortly after leaving that she is aware that she only intended to invite Mitsumi to the movie, and asks her to relax and not pressurize herself to speak to her if she isn't comfortable in order to ensure that Makoto is at ease. As Mitsumi follows the two of them, she realizes that she has failed disastrously in her role as the class representative since she overlooked the traits of those who were invited to the film, so she failed to encourage harmonious social interaction. Mitsumi desperately ponders ways she can make things work between Makoto and Yuzuki as they watch the movie together. She also asks Susuke for guidance at one point. He ultimately passes the salted popcorn because sadly for her, he doesn't understand her nonverbal cues. Makoto texts Yuzuki to let her know that she had been right regarding her observation. She then continues by saying that she is still keen to know more about her. Although she lacks the confidence to look Yuzuki in the eye, Yuzuki appears to be pleased. Mitsumi seems content as the group makes their way home, and she realizes that the memories of the different places one visits are in actuality the memories of those whom one visits there with. Mitsumi walks to school, excited about her day. When she arrives, she meets Kenichika, the playwright who had previously pestered Shima to join the drama club. Senpei speaks to Mitsumi and tells her everything about Shima's past as a child actor. He requests that she persuade him to join the drama club. Mitsumi's day has not been going well. Her English quiz doesn't go well because she is terrified of discussing Shima's childhood career with him. She is then hit by a ball while playing sports thanks to her being distracted, and she isn't feeling well and is sent to rest in the school's medical room. Shima appears when Mitsumi looks out the window, and they have a conversation. Shima inquires as to what is wrong with her, and she tells him what Senpei asked her to do after a little while. She sympathizes with Senpei, though, and advises Shima not to lash out at him because he is doing what is in the best interests of his club. Shima then has a heartfelt conversation with her, telling the girl that he no longer wants to act, and he assures Mitsumi that she should pursue her dreams. As for Mitsumi, she promises him that she will be there for him whenever he needs her. Mitsumi informs Senpei that Shima does not wish to join the drama club and leaves. When Mitsumi returns to school after the holiday week, she discovers that some of her classmates were studying for exams while she was enjoying her vacation. She panics and approaches a professor, who advises her to speak with Takamine, a student council member who is extremely disciplined. Takamine spends an entire day teaching Mitsumi how to make the most of every minute and be as disciplined as possible. Inspired by Takamine, Mitsumi makes a schedule and decides not to waste her time doing unimportant things, so she doesn't have any regrets. Shima sees Mitsumi's strict schedule the following morning and points out that she's losing sleep as a result of sticking to it. Thereafter, Takamine approaches Mitsumi and tells her to do things her own way. Takamine admits her errors and advises Mitsumi not to follow in her footsteps, and Takamine tells her that one doesn't realize how important it is to use their time in a certain way until much later, and Shima tells her that she should go at her own pace, and Mitsumi agrees. We see Mitsumi informing her friends and family back home about her life in Tokyo, and tells them that midterms are approaching and that her classmates are preparing diligently, given that they attend an elite prep school. She claims that it keeps her motivated to work hard herself. The sports roster is being decided in class. It is announced that participation is mandatory for all students, but Mitsumi panics because she is terrible at sports. As a result, Mitsumi turns to Shima and Igashira-san for help in improving her volleyball skills. When they agreed, Mitsumi brings snacks for Shima and Igashira-san the next day. Igashira-san refuses to eat because she is concerned about her weight and envious of Mitsumi because she can eat whatever she wants and stay in shape. She is also jealous of Mitsumi's friendship with Shima. Yuzuki and Kuruma volunteer to assist Mitsumi while Igashira-san is teaching her to play. On the day of the competition, Mitsumi offers pickled vegetables to her friends and saves some for Shima. Shima is participating in a sport when she goes to offer him the snacks, but she starts to feel overwhelmed when she sees how popular he is. She then leaves without offering him any snacks. Mitsumi meets Senpei, who informs her that Shima may be lonely as a result of his fame. Mitsumi reflects on the times Shima was there for her, while Mitsumi confronts her fear of being in all the girls' bad books by cheering for Shima while he plays the game, and she also gives him the pickled vegetables after his match. Before leaving for school, Mitsumi speaks to Fumi over video call, and she informs her about how she likes a boy. Thereafter, Mitsumi inquires as to what being in love is like. Fumi describes that she becomes overly anxious when speaking to him and obsesses over not saying inappropriate things. That afternoon, Mitsumi as well as her classmates find out about their scheduled tests. Mitsumi is committed to doing well because she wants to attend a reputable university. Shortly after, Mitsumi learns that Shima didn't show up to school that day. Thereafter, she hears rumors that he frequently skips class and doesn't take academics too seriously. Mitsumi has nightmares about this because she worries that he is going to stop attending school. The following day, Shima arrives very late to school and justifies his tardiness in front of the class, and Mitsumi is still very worried about him in the interim. The two eventually start talking when the teacher instructs them to stay in class for a while so they can put a few papers together. Mitsumi expresses her worries but finds it difficult to control her feelings. Shima informs Mitsumi of the fact that not everybody cares as much about school grades as she does as she goes on, and on concerning grades, Mitsumi simply runs away when he uses an icy tone. Later on that day, Shima opens up with a friend regarding his guilt and describes the situation. In the meantime, Mitsumi has trouble sleeping because she believes that she is to blame for Shima's behavior. The next day, Mitsumi asks Mika for advice. Mika then tells Mitsumi that as long as she made her case clearly, it is okay to stick with what she said. Mitsumi comes to the realization that she actually had no idea what she actually wanted to say to Shima, and this causes a great deal of introspection and self-criticism. Mitsumi meets Shima after giving the incident serious thought so they can communicate about it. Both of them appear to be puzzled, but Shima is wise enough to put their differences aside, and he apologizes to Mitsumi for being rude the other day. He then begins to walk away since he is in a bit of a hurry. He is stopped by Mitsumi, who admits that the only reason she acted that way was to get Shima to attend class more frequently since it was dull without him. After that, she gets ashamed and tries to escape. Shima, in a fascinating turn of events, stops her and goes on to explain that his family is largely detached. As a consequence, he frequently spends the evening at his friend's home. He also says that throughout the third year of cram school, he was constantly staying out late. Shima goes on to reassure Mitsumi that he really isn't quite the mess she possibly thinks he is. He eventually says that he was more upset because she believed the rumors that the students had spread regarding him. Shima continues by telling Mitsumi that while he is okay with people spreading rumors about him, he certainly doesn't want her to take them seriously. Shima laughs after the friends have reconciled because everything appeared quite dramatic when they eventually opened up, and Mitsumi could hardly help but keep staring at him because she suddenly feels exposed. When she leaves and on her way back home, after thinking about Fumi's reasoning about love, Mitsumi decides that she must give her childhood companion a call right away. After being elected secretary, Mitsumi participates in her very first round table. Kazahime Hiroto, the president of the new student council, makes a brief statement. Mitsumi runs into Narumi Kanechika following the meeting, where Kanechika claims that Takiko's vice presidential responsibilities are just as significant as the role of president. When he realizes she doesn't like the subject, he walks away. The voting for the president of the student council had taken place earlier. When Kazahime decides to run for office, Takiko's confidence in winning is dashed, and he eventually wins the vote and gets elected as the new president given that he is a well-known student who was forced to leave the football team due to an injury. Given that Takiko has been a hardworking member of the school council since her first year, Takiko doesn't handle this well. After this, Kanechika shows her a movie that he directed when he was just a boy. Takiko is motivated by it and she decides to alter her way of life. After school, Shima and Mitsumi continue their conversation about the zoo's overcrowding, and he says that, based on his extensive research, he has discovered that regardless of the summer break, things are not all bad throughout the week. Mika notices the pair as she is about to walk into the classroom, but decides not to head in to give them some privacy. Mitsumi has dreamed about going to the zoo with Shima, but she's uncertain if she should or shouldn't ask him out. But when Shima inquires about her company, and Mitsumi accidentally invites him to accompany her, He gets shocked, but he happily agrees to go. Mika has observed the entire incident and she leaves both of them alone. When Mika steps outside, she is startled to see a girl approaching her and inquiring about Shima's classroom. Mitsumi realizes that the only reason Shima casually agreed to accompany her is because he considers her to be his close companion. Shima gets a call. Mika enters the classroom alongside the girl who had inquired about how to get to Shima's classroom, and we learn that she is Rurika Seijo. Shima excuses himself and heads out with Rurika, and Mitsumi doesn't know anything about Rurika, but Mika shows her an issue of a magazine with her on the cover, and she goes on to say that Seijo is a well-known celebrity. Mitsumi requests her aunt's advice in picking an outfit, and Nao-chan displays significant suspicion when she finds out that Mitsumi is going to spend time with Shima at the zoo. We then skip forward to Shima and Mitsumi meeting at the zoo where Mika is amusingly tailing the duo, and she comes across Nao-chan who is also following them. Mika and Nao-chan get to know one another, and they watch Shima and Mitsumi closely as they enjoy their time together. Due to Mitsumi's exhaustion brought on by the high temperature, she and Shima decide to return home as they have set up another meeting. As a result of this, Mika feels guilty about following them around. A few days later, Mitsumi and her friends decide to have a pajama party. Nao-chan asks the girls to stay at her flat, when Mitsumi's friend's place suddenly becomes unavailable to ensure Mitsumi can enjoy herself. Shima enrolls in a summer cram class and he meets Mukai. Shima invites Mukai to join him for dinner after finishing, so Mukai pulls out his cell phone to notify his mother, but Shima receives a message on his cell phone and then simply leaves without saying anything, and we learn that he had gotten a text from Rurika. Shima revealed to Mitsumi and Mika that Rurika is merely a friend of his, and Rurika has been looking forward to spending some alone time with Shima. When she says that she only wanted to go for a stroll with him and that she has no additional plans, her controlling behavior comes to light. When Rurika inquires about Shima's favorite girl, Mitsumi, he explains that they are just friends, but Rurika is not convinced. She becomes furious and asserts that Shima is to blame for the issue at hand when he notices, and tells her that she seems to be behaving strangely. She tells him not to assume everything's fine simply because the drinking incident occurred 4 years before. Rurika believes Shima doesn't have the right to enjoy high school because of the drinking scandal, as it is a stain on her image, but he doesn't say anything to her. As the school year's break starts, and Mitsumi flies home to spend some time with her loved ones and old friends, she is warmly welcomed by her family, who are understandably thrilled to see her, and the family enjoys time together while Mitsumi's grandma prepares plenty of dishes for her and her siblings to snack on. She finally meets up with her closest friend Fumi that same evening. She apparently began seeing the boy she mentioned earlier, and they both are overjoyed. The remainder of their friends have also been called by Fumi, and that night, everybody plays together. The next morning, Mitsumi gets out of bed very late. When Fumi comes to visit, the two friends head to the beach to have fun with Mitsumi's cousins and siblings. After taking a few weeks off to enjoy herself, Mitsumi heads back to the city for the remainder of the summer. Mitsumi soon runs into Shima, and when they cross paths with Kinechika, he extends an invitation to the play he is producing for the school event. The student council, which plays a crucial part in the festival planning, is called to a meeting it is nearing completion, and Mitsumi is shocked by the significance of the event and is eager to participate. Mitsumi is very enthusiastic regarding the days to come, following the student council's meeting. She spots Shima while she and her peers move through the hallway and wishes to speak to him desperately, but she feels like she will be bothering him. Mitsumi understands that it's normal to worry that a person no longer likes them once they haven't spoken to each other in a while. On the other hand, it's also fairly typical for people to want to spread their emotions with others when they're happy. She consequently returns to the classroom to retrieve the squid cookie she had bought from her village. Mitsumi gives Shima the sweets when they finally meet up. Since Mitsumi is still enthusiastic regarding the school event, she informs Shima that it attracts over 7,000 people annually and is nearly the same size as a concert. She has never been a part of anything so extravagant, so it only makes sense that she would want to get as closely involved as possible. Shima quietly listens as Mitsumi speaks further. She ultimately gets the impression that he probably doesn't give much importance and attempts to collect herself. She additionally tells Shima about what she just observed, which is fascinating, but he says little. We finally find out why that happened once she leaves. Shima has come to terms with the harsh reality that he has no right to have a good time in high school after Rurika told him that he wasn't deserving of it, and he doesn't react to Mitsumi's enthusiasm and keeps his distance, but Mitsumi is constantly watching out for him and takes note of his sadness. Shima displays concern when it is revealed that Mitsumi's class is going to put on a play during the school event. Nobody else besides Mitsumi seems to notice this, and it's unlikely that anyone else truly comprehends why it bothers him so deeply. We see preparations for the school festival, and Mitsumi is very excited about it. As a result of her desire to experience everything, she takes on a plethora of responsibilities. On the other hand, Shima succumbs to his classmates' pressure and agrees to act, despite not wanting to. He confides in Susuke about acting for the festival due to peer pressure, and Susuke tells him that distancing himself will have an impact on him and that his friends will notice it. Shima informs him that he does not want anyone prying into his days as a child actor, and adds that if remaining silent will help Rurika, he will do so. He also asks Susuke not to tell Rurika about his participation in the school festival, and he agrees to do so. Mitsumi takes on too many responsibilities and is unable to balance them all. Following that, her classmates complain in front of Shima. Mitsumi overhears their conversation and spots Shima, and she knows he's overheard their conversation. Shima spends time with Mitsumi in an attempt to distract her from the incident. After a while, she learns about him not wanting to act, and she understands that he has his own issues, but he still attempted to cheer her up. She then sobs because she wasn't considerate towards Shima. Shima believes that Mitsumi's sensitivity makes her unfit to live in the city and pursue politics. He believes she should have stayed in her hometown. Shima's past is then revealed to us. He was very similar to Mitsumi when he was a child. As a result, he feels obligated to protect her feelings. Shima's belief that Mitsumi is unfit for the city is a projection of how he feels about his past, and we learn that his coping mechanism is bolting for the door. When Mitsumi tells him that she knows she falls a lot, but it makes her even better at picking herself up and learning from her mistakes, he comes to a new understanding of the situation. After Shima cheers Mitsumi by performing with her, they hurry back to class. Mitsumi then completes her task, and Shima, on the other hand, works on his acting skills with his classmates. We see Shima's 16th birthday, and his classmates get him a cake and celebrate. The school event gets started, and Mitsumi along with other students collaborate to make sure it is an enormous success. A sizable crowd shows up to have fun, similar to every other year. Although Kezakami ends up taking the preparations lightly, Takiko is overanalyzing every step. She is naturally irritated because she is preoccupied with following a methodical process for everything. Meanwhile, Shima plays an important role in the theatrical performance and doesn't seem to be troubled because of his past. Yuzuki displays her pet's portrait inside the art space in the hopes that people passing by will be shocked. But unfortunately, she continues to get hit on by guys and learns if one is attractive looking, nobody really notices all that effort one puts into the things they do. When Makoto observes this, she makes it a point to tell her friends about Yuzuki's artwork, and she compliments her work while keeping a distance. On the other hand, one of Mitsumi's acquaintances informs her of the fact that Takizawa-senpai has been seeing Hayami for the past few days. A mother asks her kid if he would like an egg sandwich during the school event. The young child observes a bunch of people while she is purchasing one and wonders what they are all looking at. While the mother is out getting sandwiches, he heads over to the opposite side. Once she eventually realizes her son is gone, she panics and immediately starts searching for him. The kid soon discovers that his mom is not present, but he recalls that she was leaving for classes 1 to 3. Using the support of 2 strangers, he manages to locate the class. Surprisingly, Mitsumi and her companions study in the classroom that the kid eventually finds himself in, and the young boy is spotted by Mitsumi, who recognizes him as Shima-kun's younger sibling owing to the keychain over his shoulder bag. She is proven to be right when the young boy identifies himself as Kirishima. When Mitsumi runs towards the office to find out where the kid's mom is, other students begin questioning him regarding what happened. While his mom is at the school, Shima enjoys the drama club's school festival performance in another room. With his outstanding performance, Kanechika surprises everybody, and Shima also seems stunned by his acting. Shima is located by Takumi, who informs him of the fact that his brother wandered off during the school event and wound up in their classroom, and he runs to find his brother because he is unaware that his family members have arrived. He strangely gets the impression that Carrie has virtually no interest in him whatsoever. While listening to him, Takumi counters that children that age are not particularly concerned with the issues Shima is irrationally overthinking about. When Shima eventually makes it back to the classroom, he sees Kiri chuckling as his friends attempt to amuse him. Kiri abruptly begins to sob and hugs his older brother once he spots him. In the end, Shaosug realizes that he was surely worried about him and feels as though he might have misinterpreted the dynamics of their relationship. Meantime, Mitsumi locates Shima's mom and lets her know that her kid is safe. Rurika and Shima's mom cross paths. While speaking gently, Mrs. Shima asks how Rurika is doing, but Rurika displays some very unfriendly behavior towards her and doesn't seem all that excited to have met her. Shima is occupied trying to lighten Carrie's mood, and his classmates from middle school then come over to see him. His acting profession has been kept hidden from his high school acquaintances, which they are unaware of. Everybody is surprised to find out that Shima is acquainted with such a well-known model when Rurika shows up at the spot. Shima's performance doesn't go smoothly. He then observes Rurika going away and confronts her and informs her that he truly wishes to feel happy and that he endured enough and doesn't want to bear the burden of the past any longer. After this, Rurika sobs in her car and acknowledges that Shima isn't really to blame for anything. On the contrary, she is just envious of the situation as he is now leading an ordinary high school life and she isn't. After the school event is over, Mitsumi runs into some of her friends as they head to a close-by eatery for lunch. They ask her to accompany them. Despite the fact that Mitsumi is also very worn out, she informs her companions that she has something else planned. The student council is scheduled to meet to talk about the cleanup strategy, and she is unable to leave with her friends as a result. Shima stops Mitsumi after listening to the conversation in silence, and then inquires whether she requires help during the cleanup. Mitsumi assures him that she will manage the situation. Shima then informs her that if tomorrow's class cleaning is completed earlier than expected, he will accompany her. Mitsumi instructs Shima to get in touch with her over a call, and he stares at her as she makes a move to leave. He stops her once more. She turns around and he says, very affectionately, "It's nothing," and they part ways. As she stares at him, she wonders how she managed to meet somebody as nice as him. And that's how the season ends. Let me know what you think about this anime, and as always leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all in the next video.